The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
The Boston Celtics get it done here in their home opener against the Miami Heat. 119-111 is your final score, and Jaylen Brown had a whole lot to do with that. I'm Josue Pavon. He is Bobby Manning. We talked a lot about Jaylen, at least offensively, in Game 1 against New York. He came up scoreless in that fourth quarter. We're expecting kind of a big performance against the Miami Heat, and that's exactly what we got, right? But it didn't necessarily start off like that. I feel like Jaylen really found his offense throughout that second half, and if you ask me, it was the defensive stops and the way the Celtics established themselves on that end of the floor that really got him going.
Yeah, and we all agreed coming out of last game that the new four-star combination that this team has will require the most sacrifice and adjustment for Brown, who didn't take any shots in the fourth quarter last game, mostly flowed in and out of action. Wasn't bad, still got credit for some of the hustle plays and things he did outside the scoring department, but didn't find many opportunities to contribute as a shooter, as a scorer, which this was the number 2 scorer on this team a year ago, an All-NBA guy. So you wonder if some frustration would set in, if it would take him some time to get acclimated. For him in this game, it wasn't perfect, but to be so involved and active down the stretch of the game and to get the ball as often as he did. I think the most impressive play was when he got to the top of the key, I think in the fourth quarter, caught a quick pass from Tatum, and then went to work on one of his many mismatches he drew in this game. And Bam tried to cheat in on him and knock the ball away, force another one of those Jaylen turnovers, but Jaylen picked the ball up quick, turned and shot over him. So some decisiveness on the ball in this game, some more good passes. Yeah, he turned the ball over a couple of times, but he was so aggressive that he really broke open what was a pretty tough-to-beat Miami defense early.
I just thought he played with a lot of poise. I mean, from the steal in the backcourt and the loud dunk that clearly got this TD Garden going, to just making, like you said, those plays where he was getting to the free throw line, being aggressive, especially in the open floor. We know how effective he can be offensively, but I feel like at times, and it's happened a lot throughout the season last year, where if he couldn't find his offense, he would sort of disappear, right? And I feel like that wasn't ever the case in this one. Sure, he struggled at times. Sure, he wasn't, scoring consistently throughout that first quarter, but on the defensive end of the floor, he was there. He was active. He was constantly, in people's faces. He was constantly active in terms of just really trying to disrupt what Miami was trying to do, especially in their offense.
Yeah, and we got a chance to talk to him this morning, coming off that game at shoot-around, and this is a guy who will say how he feels, speak his mind. So if there was any frustration coming out of that game or about his involvement, his role, he would have said it. And instead this morning we got some optimistic comments about how his chance will come. Here's what he had to say this morning.
I think it's going to vary throughout the season, you know what I mean? So everybody just got to be ready. Everybody got to be mature enough to handle it, you know what I mean? And I'm excited about that. As one of the leaders on the team, you know what I mean? You're supposed to be the example. So as we come out, getting our guys ready to go, making sure everybody's feeling right, making sure we get the big fella going early, making sure our team chemistry is right, we finding a way to win. That's all that matters to me, and everything else can take care of itself.
And that's exactly the message that I feel like Joe Mazzulla's been preaching. I mean, going into this one, I'm sure maybe some people might have thought, maybe Derek White will have a big game, but to lead the team in scoring the way he did, to get it done on both ends of the floor, I just feel like that's the kind of team that we're seeing right now, right? They have that type of identity where if everyone is connected on defense, it's not even a matter of, this guy has to step up big or we need this guy down the stretch. It's about pretty much reading what the defense is giving you and presenting great opportunities for guys. But that's exactly what I think Jaylen and Tatum and Derek White and guys that have obviously been in big games before, especially on this team, but seeing it together with the new guys like Kristaps Porzingis, like Drew Holiday, both guys who clearly had great performances in this one, made a difference, made an impact, and it was just everyone getting involved.
Yeah, and I've been surprised by his leadership on the second unit. They didn't score great with the stars off the court, but they still had a 1.2 points per possession last game in those Brown-led lineups. So that's a good number. They didn't win those minutes, but they held court with their stars off the floor. So he did a decent job, a better job than I thought in that game. And then tonight, it's that decisiveness and the vision and some flashes of playmaking again. Like, I love the play where Porzingis was posting up, Kevin Love was kind of lurking, hoping that he'd make that entry pass, and then he fired it to White in the corner for a three. So some real good moments in the playmaking department, too, in this game. And it's not going to be seamless. It's not going to be easy. And it's probably going to be a worse statistical year for him. But if he doesn't care about that and he's still able to succeed and contribute in a different way, you mentioned the defense, which Joe praised tonight too, it's all going to come together. And I love John's comparison to Ray Allen. You know, him taking on that role and changing his game and coming around screens and playing off ball and doing all that stuff. The willingness to do that tonight stood out to me. And his willingness to sacrifice on certain nights is big for this group. I mean, he's making the money now. He doesn't have anything left to prove. And you saw that with how he handled that zero shot attempt fourth quarter a couple of days ago, which probably would have been a little bit of a bigger issue a year ago.
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. When you place a $5 bet, that's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose.
I feel like during training camp, that was a talking point that we discussed a lot on the Garden Report, especially John. You know, not that he's the Jaylen Brown hater, but he's always going to sort of present those questions where you're like, well, is he going to have trouble fitting in? Or if he does, if he's not getting as much touches as he wants offensively, does that disrupt things? And I always went into the season thinking that wasn't going to be possible because of who he is as a player, you know, as a professional, and because of that extension. I just think that meant a lot to Jaylen. It showed that commitment from the Celtics organization. It showed that a thank you for what he's done in the past, and I feel like that was sort of something that he just needed. He wanted to know that, you know, this team was committed to his future, and obviously the contract is something that people are going to bring up constantly if he struggles in nights when he doesn't have it. But I never saw Jaylen as someone that's going to check out or be so frustrated that, hey, I know I'm not getting my touches. He's going to find a way to be involved. And when you have other guys like Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday who are putting a lot of effort on that end of the floor, Jaylen's going to make sure he does the exact same, you know?
Yeah, and he's important. He makes the tough shots. He opens the defense inside in a way that other guys can't. Tatum can sometimes struggle finishing in there. And John said it tonight, he brings a layer of athleticism that there's not in other places on the roster, especially without Rob now.
Right, absolutely. 119-111 is the final score. The Boston Celtics improved to 2-0 on the regular season. Coming up, we'll discuss the second unit, what we saw from them in this game, someone like Al Horford finishing up, and of course, Kristaps Porzingis and what he did in his second game as a member of this Boston Celtics team. He is Bobby Manning. I am Josue Pavon. Stay tuned for our next segment.
With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Head to factormeals.com/newsfeed50 and use code newsfeed50 to get 50% off. That's code newsfeed50 at factormeals.com/newsfeed50 to get 50% off.